Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy,
I'm Melanie.
I'm Jesse.
and tonight, hashtag not my He-Man. I don't really care. Savannah, should we kick it right off at the top? Because I had to be reminded of what, I didn't have to be, but I reminded myself of what our $10 Patreon tier is. And one of the things it is a shout out on every episode. So we have a new person to shout out.
Oh,
Let me see. I believe the name is pronounced Savannah. Savannah is our newest $10 Patreon. So shout out to Savannah.
Ooh, does that mean
Yeah.
she gets to dictate content? I think for $10, you do that.
I think sorry. There's nothing. Ignore me. I think technically at the $5 tier you can start dictating content, but yes,
That's fair.
yes.
That's fair. Yeah.
So that means yes, she can.
We work for you.
She actually sent me a message that, like, how I even knew about it in the first place. She had sent me a message. I'm gonna share this, not on the screen, but I'll share this a little bit, Savannah. Yeah, she says no, I don't want to dictate content. She said, "Don't be mad, but," and then like I was like, "No, you keep your $10 a month. That's fine." But she said she just wants to help make sure the show keeps going. So
aw, so sweet.
if anybody else
Thank
out
you.
there wants to join her in that valiant goal, patreon.com/Grawlix podcast. Savannah can now listen to 60 plus bonus episodes that are not available publicly, if she so wanted. She probably won't. They're all audio. No, there's a couple video things on there. We've done some video stuff that's only up on there. But yeah. So thanks, Savannah. Sorry to start the show off that way, but I figured while we had her here, but I know she sleeps early. She goes to bed early.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, thank you very much, Savannah.
Now, as for the actual show that we're going to talk about tonight, is we're gonna keep it loose. I know there's a couple things that Melanie and I watched that I want to talk about, and whatever Jesse's consumed, food.
Just no, I don't do anything. I go to work and
I-
I sleep and I play a little bit of Fortnite. And then I did watch Suicide Squad, but y'all talked about it and I was in the chat last week.
You were.
Yeah.
It's worth. I mean, if you have more to say, that's worth getting your thoughts on it.
I mean, you guys really dug into it. I mean, it's hard to say that I have anything additional other than to continue gushing about it and say that it is, it's definitely one of the best DC movies since, like, I don't know, The Dark Knight.
Right. Yeah. I enjoyed it a lot.
Me too.
And then there's some TV and news stories we'll dive into later. But Savannah S, did you watch Yeah, just thinking about it just now, it's like you don't even really have to like donate to the Patreon to dictate our content. Just join us
true.
on the live show and start talking in the chat. That kind of dictates the show anymore.
Really does. Especially if you mention Doctor Who. And then Savannah leaves because
Savannah's responsible for the Doctor Who talk, to be honest, because she got Melanie into it, and Melanie got me into it, and Jesse was already into it. But then Jesse and I bonded over Doctor Who, and then the Grawlix happened.
oh,
That's kind of like, it's all kind of Savannah's fault, actually.
all right. Well, thank you for that then.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Suicide Squad. Nobody's really talking about it anymore, I guess, but it didn't do very well.
Really?
Didn't do
That's so dumb because it's so good.
right. And, it didn't do well in the theaters. And so there's a lot of course, theater owners, and there's a lot of people ready to jump on, like, streaming's killing theaters now. And I'm sure that had a little to do with it. To be honest, like, I know it's James Gunn, and James Gunn, like Guardians of the Galaxy did gangbusters. That's got huge mass appeal. But this is was it sequel? Was it reboot already time
Right.
to a movie that generally people didn't like,
Yeah.
and it's more of a true James Gunn movie, so it's kind of weird and twisted, which is also not super mass market friendly.
And the casuals aren't paying attention to the fact that this is a new director and a new direction. They just see Suicide Squad and then they're like, well, I didn't like the first one, so I'm not going to watch this.
Well, and also, I don't think, I mean, I know things opened up, but I think a lot of people still aren't comfortable doing things like going and sitting in a, movie theater with a whole bunch of people to watch a movie. So,
This is, and maybe this is not related, but this is a story I noticed while doing my news research. But I was like, it's kind of outside of what we usually do. But I will mention Nine Inch Nails concert canceled a bunch of canceled their 2021 concert, tour. And I think the way they phrased it, I think it's because they issued a tweet and was basically like, so we were hoping like this would be the, bringing live music back, rejuvenate, everybody's like celebrate, get out and whatever, but they're like, it's clear it's not the time for that.
yeah.
So I think it's because of, COVID still happening. And so
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting and kind of related to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to go to another Nails concert, but it wouldn't be the same. So I don't know.
I went to one.
Yeah, me too.
It was cool. It was at the end of my going to concerts career. Not career, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Totally beside the point.
Right. Yeah. Sorry about that.
And the Savannah doesn't want to go to the theater yet. Yeah, I mean, well, we went to the drive-in. Drive-in's fine. That's great. If you're that paranoid, stay in your car, or you sit outside your car. But everybody's outside. That's not a big deal. But like theater.
Yeah. I think all theaters should just be drive-ins anyway because the drive-ins are cool.
And to be honest, this isn't, I guess, helping the argument of like streaming's killing the theater, but that's not really the argument in my opinion. It's market demand. It's supply and demand. And if if you're not supplying what people are demanding, then you're going to be losing out. So if they put it up in the theater and on streaming at the same time, people are going to choose the one they want. And if they don't want that other one, then it's not really like, I don't know. I think that's the whole theater thing. I see it as like an attempt to control the market. And it's like, but if the demand is for streaming, that's what people want.
Right.
And there are definitely, like, Suicide Squad would have been great to see in a theater. And I don't know, in previous years, maybe I would have considered going to the theater instead. But if it's available streaming, I don't want to leave the house ever. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I want to leave the house, but the only thing that makes me really sad about it all is that I love popcorn so much. And without the theater, where am I ever going to get a giant bucket of popcorn, that I can refill
Proper
and
movie
snarf
theater
down?
popcorn.
Yeah. But other than that, movies are fun. They're nice, but it's not a big thing to me except for the popcorn. I remember one time we went to see a movie and I got a popcorn and you didn't get to, I don't think you got any of it and it was gone. Like not even midway into the movie. So it was a good thing we had a large because then you got to go get a refill because otherwise I don't think you would have got any popcorn.
And since that happened, I'll eat a little bit, but for the most part, I don't. Intentionally, I don't eat the popcorn until I think you've had your fill. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of popcorn before you're like, ugh. And I just rely. I'm like, I'll get the refill and I'll just wait.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose a finger. No, it's not that bad. But when we're at home, it's either 2 bags or if we pop popcorn, there has to be 2 bowls.
Yeah.
And even then, she's done with her popcorn and like looking at mine. It's like, no, you had yours. This is mine.
It's so good though. Savannah agrees with me. See, she says she's never had her fill of popcorn.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's probably not the correct phrasing because it's less a fill of popcorn and more like you hit that limit where your stomach's like, you shouldn't be doing this anymore, so you got to take a break for a few moments before you
Yes.
force your stomach to deal with it. It's in those brief moments. I'm only exaggerating a little.
But you know what? I don't actually think we did. But so I'm gonna say, wouldn't it be nice if we had had popcorn when we watched? What is that name? Psycho
Gorman?
Psycho
PG?
Goreman, yeah.
Psycho Gorman? Jesse, have you heard of this movie?
I've heard that name before, but I don't know.
You have to watch it. I feel like
Psycho Goreman. Where would can I find this on like Netflix? Is this like super cult or?
It's not super cult. It's on. I believe it's on Shudder, and it might be for rent. Then let me check real quick.
I still haven't done the free trial of Shudder, so I could do that too.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I just gotta find a good time when I know I'll be able to like binge a bunch of horror stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% that it's on. Okay. You should be able to watch it on Amazon. But I think you would enjoy it. It seems like a thing that's right up your alley. It has sometimes puppets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you had me at hello there.
It has Power Ranger rockin' guitars.
Mm-hmm. It feels very Power Rangers like to me, or some of it does, I should say.
Okay, so yes, Savannah, Psycho Goreman. Basically, it's a comedy. Like it's not a horror movie. I mean, it's a horror and sci-fi themed, but it's a comedy. And this guy is a creature from outer space, and he's dug up by some kids. And because this girl they find like this gem. Okay, real quick. His whole deal is he just wants to destroy everything, and that's why he was imprisoned. The kids find him, but they also find the gem. Whoever has the gem in their possession can control him, so it becomes like he's this horrible creature that wants to kill everyone in the universe, but she has control of him, and wackiness ensues.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do.
And some of the best stuff though, and I feel like they don't have pictures of it here. I mean, it's a little ridiculous. They make him put on some clothes at a certain point. It's rated R for sure. There's a lot of swearing and gore, but like I think the highlights are the crazy full costume or full body costumes they do for some of the random creatures that show up. They do flashbacks that kind of describe where he comes from, and those sequences are great because that is just straight up very Power Rangers looking production in a way. Kind of cheesy. The makeup's great though. There's sequences where the music is straight up just Power Rangers guitar solo, just going, and it's a lot of fun. It's not perfect. I think they could have reeled her in a little bit. It's one of those movies where no one's real people. No one acts like real people act or react to things the way real people do.
Well, they have a couple things that are actually really funny that are based entirely on how people might react to it, but for the most part, you're right. People don't.
But and also, she's a little evil. So it's a good fit. She's not controlling him to kill people, but
when they found the stone, it was because her brother was digging his own grave
because he lost a game that she made up. Yeah. So that kind of tells you right off the bat, you're like, oh wait, this takes place in a weird world. These characters are kind of crazy. But But yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I wish there
It
were
is.
more pictures of like some of the creature stuff.
Hmm. I would say it's probably not for everybody. There's some people
Right.
who aren't going to enjoy it, but yeah, I thought it was fun. Worth a watch at least.
Um, yeah, it's not for everybody. I think by what we've said about it so far, you'll know whether it's for you or not.
Hmm.
Let me find. I've got to find some more. Oh,
It does check a lot of my boxes. So
here's some good pictures. Let me pull up that thing again. Sorry, audio listeners.
I think Savannah will enjoy it. Yes.
I don't want to give too much spoilers on things. I mean, this character, like, this is straight up Power Rangers territory.
Hmm.
he looks like Goldar a bit.
Oh, this isn't going to be a very big picture, is it? This cop zombie creature
Hmm.
is, I think, my favorite makeup in the whole thing because you can't see it there, but the face they gave him is so kind of derpy and
It is.
funny looking, and yeah. So it's got an interesting mix of like, what's Guyver, the Guyver,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
and just the 80s, 80s R-rated ridiculous horror movies that are kind of B-grade horror movies that were really just all about over-the-top creature costumes and weird Cronenberg style makeup effects that's kind of gross.
I was to say, like, one of these creatures with the beard reminds me of like the old He-Man movie, the Dolph Lundgren one. It's like
Right.
that's very Gwildor crossed with a bad guy kind of thing.
The opening starts with like a red text scroll against like space background, and it is pure 80s like the voiceover, the tone of the recording, even they just nailed this pure low budget 80s fantasy movie thing, and it's so good. So yeah, it's not for everybody and it's not perfect, but I think I gave it like 4 stars. I enjoyed it a lot.
Hmm.
So
It is what it wanted to be for sure.
right. And it's by the guy who also did I can't remember, the Manborg, which I have not seen, which I think sounds exactly like what it is, Manborg. But he also did The Void, which is and that's a little bit more like horror movie that plays it straight. But that's a super cool kind of like Lovecraftian, Hellraiser-y horror movie that Melanie and I watched a while back.
Hmm.
So the director's interesting. He definitely, wears his influences on his sleeve when it comes to the movies he makes, but he makes it work.
Yeah, I agree.
And also, the one guy, the director, wrote, directed, edited, and did the creature and makeup effects. It's like,
Wow.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, yeah. Are the characters despicable enough for me? Savannah asks. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Definitely.
pretty despicable. Do we want to jump right into the other thing we watched?
Sure.
This is a fun double. We watched both these last weekend. Nobody, starring
Oh, was that good?
Bob
Bob
Odenkirk.
Odenkirk.
I liked it a lot. I thought it
Mhm.
was really good.
I thought it was okay. There's just some things that I have issue with it. But overall, it was pretty good. It was fun
It's
for me.
and the obvious go-to kind of like, it's John Wick, but like,
Mhm.
I keep wanting to say John Wick, but like, middle age. It's just like, well, Keanu Reeves is no spring
Right.
chicken.
Sure.
It's John Wick, but with unlikely hero character or whatever, action man in Bob Odenkirk. But
Hmm.
and it is that. It is like action where the character's just made to be, he's just cool, right? Like the movie just
Mhm.
kind of sells that this guy doesn't look it, but he is potentially the scariest person you can come across.
Hmm.
And but it's I feel like it's less stylish and more grounded than John Wick.
Hmm.
And the less stylish, not in a bad way. it that kind of adds to it feeling more grounded. It's over the top, of course, but it's not like in a world where everyone is an assassin and there's these huge like just this sprawling secret assassin association where it's not like that. It's a bit more in the real world, but
they still have some of those moments where, you know, people who I don't know necessarily why they would know who he is, but they do know who he is, kind of. They're all like, oh, nope.
It does, and I think that's kind of what makes it work, because there are a couple times where, and he's not even like, he gets the crap beat out of him, but there are a couple times where it's like Melanie said, yeah, somebody will just have a reaction to him, or they'll find out like who he is and just be like, I quit and you don't have to pay me, and walk away. You know, just stuff like that. Like, it sells him being kind of this feared boogeyman type guy. Because I can't say this bad A. And he's good in it, because Bob Odenkirk does good comedy, but he also does good intensity. So you buy him as kind of the like pathetic, somewhat emasculated accountant type character that you see at the beginning of the movie, but when he also has to be tough, you buy that too.
Yeah, and it always I mean, I know he's supposed to be, like you said, a bad butt. It's like he's just reluctantly, you know, attacking people. You know, I don't know. He's just like, oh, I have to do this again.
It's definitely, yeah, and it's definitely not the most original story. It's part John Wick, part was it The Long Kiss Goodnight? Does anybody remember that? Gina Davis, where it's a little bit different.
Movie, actually.
Yeah. Gina Davis is like it's a little different in that she was an assassin or something that legitimately forgot about her assassin stuff and was living the life of a housewife or something. It's a little bit different, but very much along those lines. So it's not an original or super memorable plot even. It's a slight spoiler just because of... Oh, yeah. Oh, it makes sense. Savannah would love Long Kiss Goodnight. Yeah, it is a great movie. That movie needs to get talked about more. Or maybe I should revisit it first. But
it's got Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, and Gina Davis being awesome. So I don't know. The cast list isn't necessarily a spoiler, but there was one actor who popped up there's two actors who popped up that I was super surprised by. And slight spoiler, only in that, like, I guess it confirms certain characters are in certain scenes. But I want to say, climax action scene. You've got Bob Odenkirk. Can I say? Should I say?
Go ahead. Say.
Okay. Bob Odenkirk, Christopher Lloyd, and the RZA.
Oh,
are like
yeah, I did see that.
Three action men in the.
I think they're in the trailer. In the trailer.
Okay.
Like Christopher Lloyd, at least, is.
Well, then it's definitely a little spoilery because, like, you know, maybe not the final action. Maybe it's early in the movie. But yeah, no, it's, man, I was like, what? What is this? And then RZA pops up because you hear his voice, but I was like, I couldn't place it. And so good. I was like, what? This is amazing.
Yeah, it was good. Good.
Oh, Savannah was just reacting to Christopher Lloyd.
Oh.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd. I mean, he's pretty old. He plays an old guy. But he's an old guy with a shotgun, and that's more than enough for an action scene.
Yeah, he's been playing old guys for a really long time now.
He's been old since
He really
Back
has.
to the Future.
Right, he's been old since the 80s, man.
He looks good though. He looks old. He's smaller. He's an old guy to where it's like they get small. But like seems super with it, and so that's always good.
The issue that I had with it really was he has a family, and this is from the trailers too. In the beginning, somebody breaks in his house or something, and he has a chance to stop them and he doesn't. So his like son is angry with him and his wife maybe kind of too. That I didn't really understand a lot of the stuff with the wife. Like I didn't understand how much she knew about who he really was, you know? Because sometimes it seemed like she knew all about it, and then sometimes it seemed like she didn't, so I wasn't sure. But there was another moment later in the movie where there should have been a moment, I think, between him and his son, and it didn't happen, and it was really weird to me. It seemed odd that they didn't address it, and then just kind of went on to something else.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That is kind of it's kind of a weak point in that. Yeah, because it sets up like there's emotional weight there in that relationship,
Right.
and then it just doesn't ever get explored really
Hmm.
after a certain point, and so
Yeah.
it's a little strange, but
Yeah. Especially because that's a like perfect opportunity to do it right there, you know?
and it has a what do I Chekhov's gun, a Chekhov's muscle car. You know, it shows up in the first act randomly, and you're like, that's going to come into play later.
Hmm.
It does. I just like the idea of a Chekhov's muscle car because, oh yeah, and it has a Chekhov's gun. Chekhov's all over
Chekhov's
that.
charger has a Chekhov's gun in the glove compartment, the Chekhov's glove compartment.
Chekhov's glove compartment. You see it in the first act. You know it's going to
Yeah.
get used.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. No. Also, maybe not as strong, but I don't know. Neither of these were a super strong 4-star, but I give them both 4-star because they're very entertaining, and they're kind of they're both exactly what I expected them to be.
Hmm.
In this case, that's a good thing. So,
Right.
PG, Psycho Goreman, and nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they really needed to. The worst, the actress, the young actress lady in PG, Psycho Goreman, is the worst part of that movie. I think I can't stand her, but she's also appropriate for a girl of that age. I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but appropriately annoying.
Yeah, I didn't think she was that bad. I mean, she was very heavy on it, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like that was intentional.
Oh yeah.
Um,
They give her lines like, "Can you dig it?" It's like, what?
Oh,
Why would she know
no.
to even say that?
Can you dig it?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, but it's also like, what? That doesn't make sense. That's the kind of movie that is.
The
little.
future is yours if you can dig it.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think it was a little annoying to me too, but I think it was supposed to be there as part of the feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know. That's because that's the world it is.
Yeah.
It's like The Babysitter, right? Where it's like films by McG. It's not by McG, where people are written not to sound like real people. They're just you can hear the director or the writer, whoever. You can hear their voice. Every character is just that character. It's a little bit that, but not as annoyingly so. I think it's not. That can be hacky sometimes, and I think it kind of works here.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse. Oh, so you said Fortnite. Has there been anything you've watched or anything?
The only thing I've even peeked at was I did, and maybe I mentioned this before, but I cracked into the Netflix Transformers series. It's a trilogy. Was it War for Cybertron trilogy?
Okay.
And the first part is called Siege, and I am about halfway through it. I think like each part is just like 8 episodes or something, and it's pretty good. I mean, like it really does fit in with the like the G1 Transformers stuff that we knew as kids, but it's so much better. You know, it's not. I swear that I talked about this because it's like they throw a bunch of those characters that existed in the old movie, the cartoon movie.
Right.
But they exist from the start. It's not like we show up at the theater one day and there's all these characters we didn't know existed.
Right.
You know, like, so you got Ultra Magnus from day one, and he plays a much bigger role. And there's like some shocking deaths. 4 episodes in, I'm like, wow, you guys killed those guys in the first 4 episodes, huh?
Cool.
So,
Well, speaking of, is that on Netflix?
That is on Netflix, and they're on the third part now, and they're already jumping into like Beast Wars stuff, which I never did watch, so I'd be lost, but maybe this will approach it in a way that I'll get.
I remember I wasn't watching it I was still watching cartoons at that time, but Beast Wars was not one of them.
Right.
So
I didn't like the idea of like they're robots, but they turn into animals. Like that kind of lost me there.
Well, they were thinking in the future, there's going to be some shows that make these robots that turn into animals that then turn into a bigger robot. So we need to be here so that can happen one day.
Right.
Well, and Beast Wars was CG, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think after I was like, yeah, reboot's great, but then after that, I was like, I don't like none of these CG.
And everything was CG for a little while. They were like, see, they like it. Let's make everything CG, and there was like some really bad ones. Yeah,
the movement's so janky in some of those older cartoons. Well, speaking of Netflix writing those nostalgia series and CG cartoons,
yeah.
Oh.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. No, not just Masters of the Universe. Don't get your man panties in a bundle.
Manties.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, your manties in a bundle. Netflix dropped a trailer for the new He-Man series. Not the other one that we were just talking about like 3 weeks ago. It's so weird that they dropped. I knew
it was coming. We knew it was coming, but
I'm surprised
wow,
they dropped it so soon. Yeah, and this is the one. So the Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe series was always kind of directed towards the people that were alive to watch it originally, the original He-Man series. So that was a little bit more adult, and at the same time, they also had this CGI one directed at kids now, younger people now. What do they call it? Netflix? I noticed kind of had they're doing like imprints now. They had a little branding.
Yeah, Netflix Futures.
Yeah. So yeah, this is their He-Man series for kids now.
Do you think they were like banking on this idea that like dads are going to be super excited about Revelation and they're going to watch Revelation with their kids, and then their kids are going to be kind of pumped about it, and then we'll be like, here's a He-Man just for you.
I bet
You have the power.
Yeah,
because Revelation isn't, it's definitely more adult, but it's not lewd necessarily or particularly violent. There's a little bit more violence than you'd expect, but so in my opinion, it's not completely kid on friendly.
Right.
So yeah, now you're probably right. That's probably the thought process between dropping them so close together.
Except it made all of the dads mad, and now we live in a future where no one likes He-Man, or at least they don't like Teela. So I noticed this was completely devoid of Teela.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was really the only reason this caught my eye. This is not made for me, and I know I jokingly put hashtag not my He-Man in the title, and it's not totally untrue because it's not the attitude that I think you'd associate with somebody hashtagging not my something. But yeah, this is definitely not made for this is not made for fans. And I'm not saying I'm a huge He-Man fan, but fans of the old series. This is definitely a new interpretation. And it's weird though. It's weird because it doesn't feel like a He-Man anything. It's like, well, here's some of the characters and the like rough setup, but it's otherwise like kind of its own thing. And I noticed the trailer has a huge focus on we have the power, which sounds like a very kid show thing to do. It's not just this one guy. It's all
Are
of
they
us.
are they saying the power is yours?
Oh.
Yeah, probably.
Well, when Netflix will launch their game service eventually, they'll be like, now you're playing with power. It's going to be so bad.
Look at these power plays.
Oh, man.
They're gonna own all the futures.
Well, Jesse, you're our resident He-Man. That's how I'm just gonna put it from now on.
I'm the resident He-Man.
What do you think of this?
I had a very similar reaction, but I had a couple of other thoughts cross my mind, and that is like, first of all, he looks very much like Hero, which is the son of He-Man. Like, well, there's an original Hero, like way back in olden times of Eternia, and then there is Hero 2, He-Man's son, and he's got a little bit of that vibe to him, and it's very technological, and which we kind of talked about in the chat before we started, and that made me think of the He-Man, like the ill-advised He-Man series that came out after He-Man, the New Adventures of He-Man, which took place in a different galaxy. Like they literally travel back in time to get He-Man, and they accidentally also get Skeletor. And so they bring them both into the future. And so there's this battle between the space mutants and peace-loving planet that basically has existed just because they have a force field, which was never going to last forever. So they're like, we need a He-Man. So they go and they get a He-Man, but they got a Skeletor too. Is a 2-for-1 deal. Their time travel
can't have
really
one without
bad.
the other.
No, you can't. And it was awful. The key thing is that He-Man has a ponytail and he wears pants. He's got like a sling and he's got pants on and he's got a ponytail. But it's He-Man. He's super slim down. It's awful. You can find full episodes of it on YouTube if you hate yourself and you have way too much time.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen that.
I just fell way down into this rabbit hole just to explain that this kind of reminds me of it, but it looks better written and better produced. So, like, if this were the New Adventures of He-Man, I might have watched that. Like, I might have watched this if I were more of a kid. I still may watch this because I'm a He-Man guy and I do a podcast about He-Man stuff. So I probably should watch it, but I'm not going to say I'm 100% excited about it, but I am excited that it exists for the kids, and I hope they like it.
I'm going to pull up some pictures because I keep forgetting this is a visual medium, partially. I'm sorry, Melanie, what were you going to say?
Nothing. I was just going to say, honestly, I probably wouldn't watch it if I didn't know. I mean, I'm probably still not going to unless Randy makes me. But it's not something that I on my own would have watched. This one, at least. The original one, maybe sometimes, but yeah. This reminds me of the kind of stuff that my nephew would watch, though, and make me sit through, and I'm like, let's watch Avatar again instead.
Right? Something good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, it's interesting to say the super focused, like it seems very focused on the technological side, is a little off-putting to me. But then again, part of what I really liked about Revelation was that they played on this idea that the magic was leaving Eternia, and so tech was taking over. But because it was exploring that idea specifically rather than just everything's technological. And that's not to say that's necessarily the deal here, but it kind of seems like the deal here.
Yeah.
She blinded me with science.
But
yeah,
whatever.
It's weird. Like, I like the idea in stories and shows and whatever of like technology as magic, kind of. But this world is it's way too reliant on magic, I think, to really make it work right. You know, for it all to be technology.
If we were in the world of Revelation, you'd be in the tech cult, the techno cult.
No, I'm just saying.
She must have thought it was Triclops Day. Hey, Harlem Knight, and Maddie D is in the chat now. Excellent.
Wow.
What's going on, you guys?
All these latecomers trying to be fashionably late, eh?
Well, they are fashionable, and I'm glad they're here. Better late than never.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, He-Man Masters Universe, fine. That's fine. That was
It's
never going to
fine.
be a show that really appealed to me. The only reason I checked out Revelation was because, I don't know, I was bored. And it happened to like have just apparently dropped on Netflix an hour before I got bored. So, cool. That reminds me. No, you know what? I'm not going to waste his time while he can watch live, pimping the podcast that he's going to check out later. The other thing, did you guys get a chance to watch the final trailer for Eternals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a better trailer than the other ones that I've seen.
I would agree.
Yeah.
It definitely.
I'm
kinda
still not
gives-
sure what's happening though.
It gives you, yeah, I was gonna say, definitely gives you an idea of what's happening, but like only a rough idea. Whereas before they're just hanging out, and I think that that's intentionally just like trying to introduce people to these characters because it's a Marvel movie, but they're all characters that have never appeared in any previous Marvel movies. So in this one we get a little bit like there's stakes of some kind. There's a thing, an event happening. It's the happening. Harlem Knight says it looks like a mystical family reunion. I mean, it kind of does.
Yeah. Not as cool as the Addams Family, but like kind of cool.
I'm not.
They
like
have laser eyes.
Did it say when this is? Excuse me. Did it say when this is going to be released? I'm kind of curious as to how well it'll do.
Pretty soon, but it'll be after Shang-Chi because Shang-Chi just had its world premiere. And I've heard different things. I've heard different things. Like people that I follow on like TikTok and stuff have said this movie is great and you'll love it. And then I'm also reading other stuff that's like don't get your hopes up or whatever. And I'm like, what? What are the rules?
This is definitely a weird phase. Like, and I'm sure they kind of know that Marvel, Disney, they know the phase whatever we're in is a very strange phase because they've kind of like wrapped up all the familiar faces and
it's a volatile market right now.
it feels a little bit like they're like, we just made all the money with the Avengers movies, so we could let's just throw a bunch of things at the wall and see what happens.
I am well past objective about Shang-Chi. It's got to be awesome because I want it. I want that to be great. I never thought we'd have a Shang-Chi movie ever in my lifetime. Never. So the fact that it's happening at all, it's probably going to be like Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Not to sidetrack us, Savannah said, by the way, we're getting closer to a new episode of What We Do in the Shadows. Yes, I seen some story that all it was like set pictures or something, but for new episodes of What We Do in the Shadows, and I was getting excited for that too because that show's great, and I want to know what's going on with Guillermo. Okay.
Me too.
Yeah, no, I will say about this trailer, the settings, it's a different setting. There's a lot of desert stuff and not desert stuff, but it all looks very different than the usual. I don't know. When I think of a lot of the Marvel movies, and this is definitely not true of all of them, but there's typical cityscapes, and then like, I don't know, laboratories and warehouses and stuff. Like that's what I picture the setting, and those are not the most memorable of settings. So it's cool to see something that at least what they took for the trailer looks like a very different setting than we usually get. And even, is it Shang?
That's the pronunciation. Okay. Yeah, Shang.
We've
been saying it. It rhymes with wrong, which is how we've been saying it for years. We've been saying it wrong.
Okay, I won't question it. It'd be weirdly racist if I did, I think.
Right.
I'm taking a stance. No, I'm not. Even though like most of what I saw was city stuff, the different color palette, it looked brighter. I mean, if you can be brighter and more like saturated than most Marvel stuff, it looked like even that has a slightly different look. So that's cool. That's good.
Yeah. Some questions in the chat. Weren't they rings? Yeah. And Mandarin showed up more. I mean, like, I'm sure they're not calling him Mandarin. Well, they were calling him the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, so they were like kind of changing it up and making it more like a mysterious character anyways. But yes, they were like actually rings, like Green Lantern rings type of thing.
Maddie D said the old comics were right. Yeah, I mean, those are
Yeah.
definitely that's from the era where yeah, comics were not good when it came to Asian characters at all. From that time period. Or a lot of time periods here. But I think that should be the new spelling of racist. So probably not. Maybe that makes racism too fun. I'm sorry. I was just skirting the edge.
No.
And there's listen, that's how I deal with uncomfortable things.
Make it more uncomfortable.
Make it more uncomfortable.
Yep.
I make a joke and then laugh at how bad it failed.
I was laughing too, but you didn't know because I'm muting myself because I'm eating pizza.
Pizza? Well, you know what? It's all pizza.
It's all pizza. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a callback.
I was thinking about our random callbacks at this point because Savannah is at the $10 tier now, and that's our cat dancing tier. And I was like, dude, that is such an old reference at this point.
Yeah.
Like Maddie D is the only one that knows what cat dancing is, and that's because I know he's listened through the whole back catalog. But that episode was years ago, and then I had to be like, well, what episode was that? And I was like, oh, we were talking about the crow because that's what cat dancing was. So anyway. Yeah.
I referenced that.
Comic books.
Yeah.
You referenced that what, Melanie?
When I was talking to somebody the other day, they were talking about they were talking about the crow, and I was like, well, it's because he's cat dancing, and they were like, what? And I'm like, oh no, never mind. It's too long. I'm not gonna sit here and explain it, but he's cat dancing.
He is. All you have to do is read the original Crow graphic novel, and then it's like, oh, okay, I get it. But yeah, he dances very, with a cat, and it's how he expresses his sorrow.
It's like a performative dance in the middle of like vengeance.
It's him.
What kind of vengeance doesn't have performance art pieces in the middle?
And of course, that gave birth to Bat Dancing, which is very much the same, but with Batman.
And not that kind? No? Okay.
No, because it was
not the Batusi.
It was that I think it was Grant Morrison, that really dark Batman graphic novel where he went to Arkham.
Oh, Arkham Asylum or whatever.
And he's like cutting himself and stuff. And we're like, whoa, that's cat dancing territory right there.
Oh, yeah. That's really dark. That's really goth.
Yes, Maddie D. Vengeance is a dance best served cold.
Have you ever danced with a devil cat in the pale moonlight?
Do we want to? Let's see. Let's move on to some news. It's too easy to get sidetracked to talking about our own old lore nobody cares about. Not a lot of news that I picked up today, but there's a couple interesting things. Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying goodbye to Harlem Nights. He's got a jet, so I was just being real subtle, and then now it's not subtle at all. But.
Take it easy. We'll talk to you on the podcast later, or right now for everyone else. So, Westworld.
Oh.
I just mentioned this is not a particularly amazing story, but it's just like, hey, season 4's happening, which we knew is supposed to be happening, but it's good to get confirmation.
Yeah.
According to Deadline.com, co-creator Lisa Joy promises new worlds in season 4.
Wait, are we all a simulation too?
Maybe.
Do we get? Oh no, we already got Eastworld. I was gonna say that was Westworld. This is Eastworld.
Mm-hmm.
We already got that.
She said, let's see. So yeah, season 4 has returned to filming, which is great news because I loved Westworld.
Hmm.
Even all of the seasons, even that last one, even though it was like kind of felt like a big departure,
It was weird, but it was still good.
I liked it.
Hmm.
Um, let's see, where did she say? Hold on. She promises you're going to see some new worlds that I think are really fun,
Hmm.
and you're going to see someone who I kidnapped from Reminiscence in a fun way. Would basically Reminiscence is a new sci-fi movie, which actually sounds kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Um, but that and she was involved in that, so she's gonna nab a actor from that to come over to Westworld season 4.
Hmm.
Um,
Do they know which one?
no, she just teased.
You know, if you hadn't explained all that, I still would accept that statement as something that would make sense in the show.
in Westworld, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see, something about like, oh, if Joy had one word to describe season 4 of Westworld, it's inversion.
Ooh.
Which is,
Cryptic.
yep, appropriately cryptic and sci-fi sounding way to.
It really does. It really is.
The Witcher. Hey,
Oh.
that's another
Yeah, I
show.
saw that. Like it just showed up on my screensaver. It's like coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, what did I do? I clicked a thing. Okay, The Witcher TV creator lands giant partnership deal at Netflix. Okay, that's cool. Uh, with season 2, okay, this is from Polygon.com, which I usually don't get things from Polygon. So, sure,
Hmm.
why not? Uh, I think the most interesting thing to me is I didn't know about these other Witcher series in the works. There's a Witcher animated, and I think they even specified anime series. Of course, there is. They were making an anime series of every property they have.
Hmm.
Yeah, my audio. I still don't know if it's
Weird because
StreamYard.
I'm not noticing any difference, but
Oh, if that's the case, then
so
it's
it has to
definitely
be
StreamYard.
StreamYard, right? Because I haven't noticed that.
Hmm.
Well, next month we'll be using probably an alternative way because StreamYard is a little pricey. um, so yeah, basically whatever. Netflix. This story is more specifically about Netflix has made a deal with the series creator or whatever for a multi-year like agreement that
Hmm.
they'll write and produce a bunch of different stuff, not just Witcher stuff, for Netflix, like Netflix does. Like
Hmm.
they'll lock people in for a while, and
Right.
which is not bad. That's good. Um,
Yeah. You do
she'll.
my. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say she'll remain in her roles on The Witcher, the animated The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf, and this is the one that I didn't know about. The Witcher: Blood Origin, which is a live-action prequel series, and I was like, "Well, what's this?" And there was a link to a story also on Polygon from July. So hey, I miss stories. It happens. The Witcher: Blood Origin casts Michelle Yeoh as a sword elf warrior. And I was like, "What is this show? That sounds amazing."
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a prequel set 1,200 years before the events of the main series.
Oh.
Um,
That's a weird flex.
I'm
Uh-huh.
assuming, like, because these are all based on books, so I'm assuming there's some basis for this in books.
Hmm.
But that I think it's one of those news stories where it's a small rabbit hole that leads me to a more interesting story. So
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
that's really the whole thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, more Witcher stuff.
Cool.
Season 2 is happening. It seems like it's taking forever, but honestly, it probably hasn't been all that long.
Hmm.
And there's a prequel. I mean, they're working on the prequel series now, so that kind of makes me think season 2. Season 2 will arrive on Netflix the end of this year. So
The end.
the end
So
of the
far
year.
away.
Hmm.
So far away.
Well, it's several months. December 17th specifically.
Yeah.
So like the tail end. Um,
But in the
Yes.
end, it doesn't really matter. Isn't that a Linkin Park song?
Linkin
Got so
Park?
far. Yeah.
That's
Never
not what
mind.
I was thinking. I was thinking, in the end, it doesn't really matter. And it was like, doo, 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 doo. I can't do the piano notes from Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
That will. Matt asks, "Will it drop before Stranger Things 4? Feels like a decade since Stranger Things."
Really does. Those kids are going to
And
be so old. Like, what? Unless they've been filming it like years ago.
it it will arrive before Stranger Things 4. Season 4 will be released in 2022.
Oh,
So, yeah.
midterm election. Cool.
Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, I made it political somehow. I don't know.
You think in the future they'll just like have a kid act in a movie and then they'll make him like sit in a like 3D scanner thing and make a bunch of faces so that
Oh,
they can
yeah.
just keep them young forever.
Mhm.
CGI James Dean. Yeah, forever.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So what we're saying is in the future, all children in movies will be CGI James Dean. All children.
Solid.
Okay. Are people? I don't know if people are excited for Dune movie coming up, but
I'm
I want to see it. They're
okay.
supposed to make a bunch of them, right? Or they wanted to.
Yeah, the director Denis Villeneuve is already writing the sequel. What happened? Oh, Matty D.
Whew,
Maybe. Yeah.
dropping bombs.
It'd be ridiculous if it didn't, right? I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, come on.
episode 100 before Stranger Things season 4. I mean, it almost has to. Uh, well, the director is already writing the sequel, but I don't think the sequel's actually been greenlit properly yet. Um,
Mhm.
I'm assuming they're waiting to see how the first one does. But like the director's excited. He's like, oh, I'm already working on the second one, so hopefully they'll pick it up. Yeah, it's gonna be called Dune Part 2.
Original.
Wow. Yeah. So it's cool.
Mhm. Well, if it is like the book, it will be great, and hopefully it's well
Not
done. I should say. Yeah.
hashtag not my Dune. I want David Lynch Dune.
I kind of appreciate that they're actually just going to go with a number as opposed to like throwing some dumb, like The Hobbit. They split in like the shortest book of Tolkien's career, and they split it into 3 parts and gave each part a silly name.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Uh,
Matty D says better than Dune 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I think
Yeah.
any sequel is better if you add Electric Boogaloo at the end because that
Yeah, I was
just
gonna
makes
say,
it fun.
especially any number 2 has to have that.
Yeah, it doesn't work with 3, does it? Because that wasn't the original sequel Boogaloo.
Nope. I was trying to think of something. I had nothing. Here's a story I am debated doing this story, but I like doing stories about the streaming services for some reason. Vulture.com ran a story. Congrats, Cricket wireless users. You can get ad-supported HBO Max for free.
Can't you get that anyways? Or is that like a cheaper tier?
No, that's a cheaper tier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, we did the story a couple weeks ago about like they were going to do, yeah, there's like a non-subscribers can get like 14 I feel like it's 14 episodes of different shows, watch those for free. But
Mhm.
no, this is HBO Max has their ad tier, which I didn't realize till just a few weeks ago. They do like the Hulu thing where you pay less, but you get ads.
Right.
Mhm.
Something I also didn't know, and I don't know if this is like because of the ad supported tier or if this is just like a Cricket thing. Anyway, the point is like if you have starting August 20th, if you have Cricket Wireless customers with the $60 a month unlimited plan. That is the plan I used to have when I had Cricket years ago. The deal comes with no expiration date, so you can watch the HBO Max library to your heart's desire. The only catch, besides staying on the Cricket plan, is that the deal is offering HBO Max's new ad-supported tier, so you can binge anything in HBO Max's library with the occasional ads, of course. What you won't get is the splashy Warner Brothers 2021 movie slate. So is that...
Oh,
So you also
So
don't
like
get the new
Suicide
movies.
Squad then.
Right.
Right.
And I'm wondering if that's just... I feel like that's probably... I don't know. Is that the ad-supported tier? Because if so, man, that tier is not worth it. Or if that's just a Cricket deal, I wonder.
I mean, this is coming up, so I guess the joke doesn't land, but I was going to say, have they gotten a good response from this or just crickets?
Is Cricket everywhere in the U.S.? I know outside of the... I feel like people outside the U.S. probably don't know what Cricket is, but Cricket's just they're one of the, like, no contract phone service, whatever. So they're generally a bit cheaper and they don't require contracts.
right. And sometimes if you switch from somewhere else, they'll give you a free phone.
Sometimes, but not like a nice Samsung or Apple phone or nothing.
No.
And they have some weird deal with the WWE, like
Really?
WWE wrestlers, for whatever reason, like they can't just go to whatever con they want to, but like if they'll be traveling through a town, they'll just set up random meet and greets at Cricket Wireless locations. So you can meet like Sheamus of the WWE at Cricket Wireless the last time they came through Omaha.
That's such a weird thing to do, but I admire that. Good job on Cricket for being like, I'm going to branch out into all kinds of strange areas and just see what happens.
It's a pretty smart way to get, just randomly get people in your store.
Yeah.
Hey, Clara.
Hey.
Yeah, the phone. It's weird because seems like a pretty big deal. I'm like, well, Cricket then has some money to like entice HBO to this kind of deal, because that can't be a cheap arrangement to set up. Even if it is that like ad supported tier, that's still like that's still free service for a lot of people potentially.
Mm-hmm. It makes me feel almost I don't know why, but like it's a visual coupon system, I don't know. You pay for this thing and then you'll get this much off when you could do this.
And you used to see... Oh, are you talking about the ad-supported tier thing? Or just the Cricket deal in general?
Oh, well, kind of both, yeah.
Okay. Well, you'd see a lot of, like, free Spotify type, subscription or whatever. Or at least before Spotify was, like, the only viable music subscription service. You'd see deals like that a lot. But... All right, that's the end of the news. That's a humdinger of a story, isn't it? I debated with that one.
I'm amazed. Hey, Melanie, what else should we be amazed about?
Nice.
This week I picked a story about physicists transforming pure energy into matter and antimatter, which sounds really impressive, but it's actually something that was done before. It's just that now they were able to do it more, more simply than they had before. So they know there wasn't some mess up in this process. It was, they did one thing, this thing happened, they captured it. So that's interesting, and it further validates the what is it called? Einstein's theory, the E equals MC squared. I keep forgetting what it's called.
Of relativity.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. And there's a couple other things that it discovered too. Well, they know how it works, but they found something out about, polarized light in a vacuum. Apparently, the vacuum can be polarized. So it kind of works like if you have polarized glass, certain frequent, like, polarizations, I suppose, can't go through that kind of glass. Well, and there's certain vacuums that have that polarization, and photons that have the same polarization can't get in, which they didn't know about before, but they discovered while doing this, and it was actually kind of fundamental to what they were doing, because it's that the photons that are kicked out that can't go in because of the polarization that interact and turn into matter. Yeah. I'm sorry, this one was a little much, huh?
No, I got distracted by other things early enough that I lost the whole thing. So
I was gonna say, you're just thinking about Doctor Who, huh?
Well, as soon as you say
No.
polarity, yeah.
Yeah.
Then the other thing that happened in my brain was like, so we've got matter and antimatter, and my brain automatically went back to the song we were talking about earlier. Nothing really matters. Anyone can see. Nothing really matters to me.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah. I guess it's not a huge thing, but it's, fun. We can make matter and antimatter out of energy. Wow. That's fun.
It matters.
That's what you get when you bring science here. It's like the crappy version of the Joker. It's like, what do you get? You get puns.
Yeah.
Wait, that's what the real Joker would bring.
That's true.
Anyway,
but the Joker would do it with less involved.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's
Like
true.
he would do it, and then he would like squirt you with an acid flower. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
I'm like, did you get the joke? Because it's funny because it's this.
Yeah. But isn't that our own way of spitting acid on people?
Yes.
That's true. This sounds like a Maddie D says this sounds like a crisis forming. I hope someone is monitoring it.
I do too.
I already got my turn, but I'm going to give you another one because he's monitoring it. The one I didn't do was just that there's 3 volcanoes erupting at the same time up in Alaska. Okay,
In
that's it.
Alaska. Ooh.
Yeah.
Where are all the moose gonna go?
Into Canada.
That'd be a good segue for Paul, but Paul's busy tonight.
This
so.
is gonna be a
Yeah.
moose stampede. Like they're all gonna they're all gonna bring COVID down here. It's gonna be moose COVID.
I don't know,
Like
but
bird flu, but moose COVID.
Maybe Kevin
Gross.
Smith will finally be able to make his Moose Jaws horror
Gross.
movie. Anyway, so anything else, Jesse? You got anything exciting coming up?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't know. I'm just glad to be here this week.
yeah, we're glad to have you.
Yeah. I wasn't sure because I knew you're in full swing now, so I knew you'd be busy. But yeah, I'm glad you are here.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
strangerswitht-shirts.com. Go check it out. That's technically an affiliate link now, so I think I have to disclose it anytime I mention even that that URL because it redirects through an affiliate link. But hey, Melanie and I designed some T-shirts, and you could go buy them there. We're gonna have a new design up here pretty soon with a cute little Earth on it, who's warning you. Basically, what we were just talking about. So you can't escape it.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well put it on a T-shirt and wear it. Other than that, I don't think I have anything. Hey, if you missed the Friday the 13th episode I put out on the Grawlix Cinematic Universe podcast feed, go check it out. It was an interesting episode. I chose to do it solo. I had both Jasper and Melanie sounded like they were offering to help me with it, and I chose to do it solo, and that was certainly a choice I didn't appreciate throughout the whole thing, but that was my choice. It's a fine episode, and then it takes a turn, and you could tell, like, once I finally had to actually review the movie, I realized I didn't really enjoy reviewing that movie. But I think that I think that made for a more fun episode. It's only like
It was I sense I've gone too far. I'm in danger. Moment.
Well, I'll say up front, the episode is front loaded with information. And then once I fell down a little rabbit hole about like potential sequels that almost happened and potential like Friday the 13th movies we've almost got since then, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting. I front loaded the episode with all that because I knew once I hit the review, I was not going to have a whole lot to say. Oh, I should probably mention I was talking about the 2009 Friday the 13th reboot, which is not a terrible movie, but it's also not really anything worth talking about for an extended period of time. So I discovered this partway through the review, and you will hear me discover that. But I made it fun, and I edited a lot of stuff down. So check it out. It was an experience. And Power Walk Jason's the best Jason.
Power Walk.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Yep. Actually, if you go to our TikTok, which I never post things to TikTok, but I did upload to our Grawlix podcast TikTok a little clip from it. So check that out. Or be an old man like me and just go to grawlixpodcast.com or patreon.com/grawlixpodcast. It's GRAWLIX podcast if you want to be cool like Savannah and Maddie D and support the show. So our supporters are always watch a lot. We know who our supporters are.
We do.
They're usually here.
And always awesome.
They are always awesome.
Yeah.
I
think I just ran out of energy at the end of this.
I sense we've gone too far.
Yep.
We're in danger now.
Yes.
So let's go.
Okay, bye.
Bye.